The sun dipped into the horizon, casting a warm golden light over the sprawling marina. It was a perfect evening for an exclusive yacht party aboard the luxurious Starlight, where the wealthy and influential had gathered. On its deck, laughter bubbled alongside the fizzing of champagne, and live music threaded through the sea breeze. Aurora Quinn stood on the dock, dressed in her simple navy uniform and sturdy, no-nonsense boots. Her responsibilities involved steadying yachts as they came and went, tying ropes with the practiced precision of someone who knew the importance of even the smallest detail. Her presence blended into the background, against the backdrop of extravagance. The chatter of the guests barely acknowledged her as they glided across the gangplank. A woman wrapped in designer silk glanced at Aurora and murmured, "Lost your way to the kitchen?" Her cultured accent barely concealed the sting beneath her words. Another guest, all polished loafers and boardroom shoulders, remarked on the sea salt edge of Aurora's voice, with a smirk that suggested disdain. Despite the comments, Aurora remained undisturbed, the practiced rhythm of her work holding her focus. Yet, something was about to shatter the evening's glossy surface. From the heavens above, the whirring blades of a helicopter cut into the tranquil dusk, signaling the arrival of another VIP. The helicopter descended smoothly at first, a silhouette against the orange sky. Suddenly, without warning, the engine coughed viciously, sputtering like a gutted beast. The nose of the helicopter dipped erratically, its descent becoming unpredictable, and panic sparked among those on the yacht's deck. Screams pierced the air like shooting stars, burning quickly and brightly in the chaos erupting below. Aurora's eyes locked onto the failing helicopter as it listed toward disaster. A ripple of panic swept over the yacht's deck, quickly turning to a wave as guests scattered, their high heels and dress shoes slipping on the polished wood. Some covered their heads with trembling hands, while others clung to each other or dashed without direction. It was a scene sculpted in fear, a glamorously dressed crowd losing its composure, shrouded in the imminent threat of disaster. Aurora's heart pounded in her chest, but her mind was clear, sharpened by years of practice and focus. She slipped through the wide eyes and dropped glasses like a ghost cutting through chaos. Her boots thudded against the deck surface as she sprinted toward the helipad, already processing the scene. Years of experience whispered in her ear, guiding her movements with an assuredness that even the doubters couldn't overlook now. Aurora's voice cut through the cacophony as she shouted to the yacht's captain within earshot, instructing him to shut down unnecessary systems. Her tone left no room for hesitation or doubt, slicing through the confusion like a blade. The helicopter shuddered violently, caught in its death throes, threatening to crash onto the deck crowded with panicked revelers. People were running, but there seemed to be no place to run safely without colliding with others or getting trapped. Amidst the chaos, Aurora grabbed the arm of a wide-eyed server, barely old enough to be serving drinks at such an event. She instructed him to head towards the emergency intercom and broadcast a message for everyone to clear the central deck area and move towards the bow and stern safety areas, away from the helipad's line of potential impact. Her actions were a dance of efficient urgency. She cut through the flailing guests, gesturing assertively to the fleeing crowd, her words authoritative and clear. "Keep moving towards the bow. Stay low. Don't stop." Regular crew members mirrored her commands, their initial hesitation drowned out by her certainty. Her presence had become a momentum of action, a directionless mob suddenly imitating her instinctive order. As the helicopter descended erratically, Aurora found herself in possession of precious seconds. She directed her gaze to the few remaining dock crew who hadn't fled. "Emergency hoses, now," she commanded, and the workers surged into motion, retrieving thick cords of rubber that snaked across the deck to just within reach of the daring woman orchestrating the response. Aurora's gaze swept over a cluster of terrified children cradled by a nanny, their eyes wide and scared. She dove towards them, pulling them towards the inner deck and out of harm's way, blocking their view of the spiraling chopper with her body. "Close your eyes," she soothed one, her voice gentler now. "I've got you." Finally, the helicopter careened into its touchdown. It hit the edge of the helipad with a shriek of metal bending under stress, rotor blades snapping harmlessly away thanks to Aurora's timely repositioning. In a controlled skid, guided by Aurora's precise adjustments via the helipad's manual controls she had accessed, it came to a scraping halt on the yacht's extended platform, trembling to a stop without the full catastrophic impact it threatened. Crew members already wielding emergency hoses doused the rotor with foam as it touched surfaces, preventing sparks from igniting into disastrous flames. The chopper sputtered, smoking but intact. Aurora was already leaning in, releasing the door latch with expert hands. The pilot was dazed but conscious, and Aurora worked quickly to check his condition, guiding him gently away from the scene with reassuring glances and practiced ease. The passenger, more stunned than injured, was cradling a bumped head, and with calm resolve, Aurora assessed his vitals, whispering words of comfort as she assessed him too. The chaos had calmed, the whirlwind settled into disbelief. Guests murmured in huddled circles, shock melting into admiration for the woman who, against expectation, had tackled danger with unwavering courage. From the corners of their eyes, they watched Aurora, feeling the reverberations of their past underestimations hammering against their assumptions. Slowly, the opulent world of party guests began to orbit around her, tangible gratitude simmering in whispers. Aurora's commanding presence soothed the edges of the calamity that had very nearly been, charisma pulsing through the folds of her understated uniform like a hidden current ready to reveal its force. The yacht security team quickly secured the area, a belated shield to the already neutralized threat. Medics and responders made their way to the scene now, carrying kits and stretching large tarps to cordon off the damaged helicopter. They quickly found themselves partners under Aurora's guiding hand, paused by the clarity and calm that she imparted. Her actions had drawn a clear plan for relief and recovery, a ripple in the high necklace tides of disorder that had nearly engulfed them all. As Aurora moved through the aftermath, checking on injured guests and making sure they had care and attention, she felt eyes following her, wider now, filled with something new, respect. Her breaths came in measured pulls as if convinced that any emotional outpour would disrupt her carefully curated control. The battle with chaos and disaster won, not with armor or weapon, but with a will as unbreakable as tempered steel. Yet, even in this sphere of borrowed elegance, among the polished gold tones of wealth and secrets tethered by the sea, Aurora Quinn remained undisturbed at her core, a steadfast compass guided by duty and resilience, rising from the dock to face trials with eyes that saw beyond superficial waves into the real, ever-moving depths. In the midst of accolades on the yacht, Aurora remained composed, her calm belied by a mind that revisited the swirling memories leading her here. She turned inward briefly, drawing strength from the echoes of her past, each memory a stone path to the present. Years ago, under a vastly different sky, Aurora had walked briskly through the corridors of a bustling coastal city's emergency rotorcraft hangar. Young and ambitious, she wore the greased stains of a helicopter mechanic with pride, her jumpsuit a tapestry of hard-earned skill. Her small hands worked expertly, fitting gears into motion and lives into safety. She possessed an unerring knack for coaxing even the most uncooperative machines into cooperative service. At the time, she belonged to an elite team tasked with maintaining the city's emergency medical helicopters. These were lifelines dangling in the air, their continual operation critical to the safety of communities spread across a landscape often treacherous, by mountain, by sea. As Aurora meticulously assessed engine turbines and hydraulic systems, she relished the undercurrent of responsibility layering her job. Her concentration was matched by a vigor that distinguished her, though her path was far from free of challenge. Under the institution's banner, silent biases loomed, whispering in the halls where decisions were made, that as a woman, moreover, from a modest background, her place was more suggested than assumed among the male-dominated workforce. A particular memory cemented itself in her consciousness, a stormy evening when one of the rescue helicopters returned with a technical issue. Critically, the throttle implicated an override, risking the life of its crew and the vulnerable souls they were tasked to save. Despite the reservations wielded against her, Aurora insisted she lead the repairs, racing against time to rectify the malfunction under sheets of rain and the pressing clock. Her efforts that night brought the rotor back to life, whispers of gratitude from the returned crew following her into the dawn that broke across the hangar. Nonetheless, institutional debts deferred recognition to others, their supply of privilege unearned but readily received. Though Aurora smiled and worked as though untouched, those dismissals marked her resolve with growing frustration. Yet, a deeper scar wove through her courage, one birthed from personal tragedy. Her mind lingered over memories of her younger brother, a spry adventurer with a heart rivaling the stars. He had fallen victim to a hiking accident in the mazes of harsh terrain, his life hanging by threads spun too far from city rescue that night the wind sighed. The helicopter summoned to his aid sat incapacitated, problems Aurora suspected unresolved in her advised absence from the repair roster. Wind whistled a dirge through the cracked branches as hours slipped by before help could reach him, but the moments lost were never returned. Her brother's survival clenched with graces but not without scars he bore into the future, a brother Aurora cradled in loss and love. The weight of this held her spirit in an unyielding grip, while bitterness gnawed at her achievement as her brother pressed a hand to hers, eyes shadowed with unspoken forgiveness. His lingering smile anchored her life's compass amidst waning dreams, her purpose refracted anew through compassion's prism, yet the guilt remained a silent companion to her path. Financial burdens joined hands with emotional strains in time, nudging Aurora from her ambitions among rotors and sky to simpler shores. Life tethered her to marinas and docks, reliable wages in trade for dreams deferred. She became a shadow of her own trajectory, known for her diligence and skill, her true story cloaked beneath whispered pasts among waves cradled by salt air. The resilience she fostered, and the discipline evoking her mechanic's journey, slipped quietly into every task during her dock work. Guiding ropes knew the weight of her touch, and engines received her murmured admiration upon departure. Each action honored promises she wove from the remnants of yesteryear's foundations, now the quiet scaffolding of her spirit's endurance. Back aboard the yacht in present time, realization simmered in her bloodstream, not only within the frame of watching eyes but through the clarity of embracing one's narrative, both shadow and light. As the guests murmured their praises, echoing from Aurora's actions, she felt herself stitched subtly to both worlds, a guardian of the past now reintroduced to her potential. In the face of gathered thanks and acknowledged capabilities, Aurora Quinn found peace without pause, understanding herself beneath the sunlit resilience painting her morning horizon. Beneath the universe unfolding across salt-strewn skies resided a woman no longer marginalized by whispers from rotating blades, nor by fragmented sighs of ascribed limitations, once carried by seaward winds, now dismissed. Embracing a future newly forged from the heat of test and trial, she was a beacon in her own navigational endeavors, uncharted ambitions now adorning her journey's map with certainty, gentleness, and strength. Aurora Quinn was no longer invisible, steadfast as the guardian light she carried within, each moment a promise, a testament to the road still unfolding, glimmering with possibility. As the sun set into deeper hues behind the marina, the aftermath of the helicopter incident settled into a tapestry of disbelief and recognition. On the starlight, the guests, having survived what could have been a catastrophe, gathered in clusters, exchanging hushed tones about the events unwound at Aurora's hands. Laughter and champagne yielded to reflections of gratitude, a quiet tide reclaiming the air amidst scattered glasses and shaken hearts. Aurora moved through the deck, her presence suffused with a new gravity. As she guided guests towards the medic team for final checkups, the brush of others' eyes on her felt different, infused with respect rather than the dismissive glances she was used to deflecting. It was as if the contours of the evening had reshaped her image in their collective consciousness. She was no longer invisible. A woman, whose silhouette was edged in the elegance of understated wealth, approached Aurora with tears sparkling like small stars. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling but sincere. Her son, a boy of 8 with wide, searching eyes, had been swept to safety under Aurora's impromptu protection. A brave facade showed under youthful awe as recognition danced in his expression, realizing the gravity of what had nearly been lost. When Aurora met his gaze, she felt a pinch of vulnerability, one only admitted in moments shared between guardian and child. A small handshake turned into a shared connection, bridging the space between survival and lives renewed. The knot of gratitude joined others, weaving into a tapestry of emotions as more witnesses approached Aurora. Around her, other attendees began to gather, echoing heartfelt thanks for her invaluable intervention. They embraced her hands, their words effusive with unexpected gratitude, their expressions carrying echoes of humility before unseen heroes rendered visible. Aurora, though not immune to this wave of appreciation, responded with quiet dignity, her humility and natural grace echoing across the tide of thanks. Her work colleagues, who earlier stood at peripheries, now circled weightier, affirming Aurora's deeds. Security staff nodded in acknowledgement, suddenly more attentive to her presence, no longer a ghost threading past their wary eyes, but a leader they could follow without question. The transition from dismissive glances to curious conversations was subtle yet absolute. Media outlets swarmed the harbor as word spread of the abrupt, surprising turn of events aboard the Starlight. Local news channels picked up footage captured on guests' phones, sound bites of astonishment narrated Aurora's swift maneuvers, a modern heroine unveiled amidst high fashion and gentle waves. Social media shimmered with clapping emojis and hashtags celebrating bravery, respect, and female empowerment. Interviews conducted under the ember glow of aftermath showcased the humble gravitas Aurora exuded, her command over chaos only hinted at behind mild manners and patient strength. Her story burgeoned rapidly, as images of Aurora emerged, those early days enshrined whistles carrying echoes of her diligent expertise. Reverberations of her aptitude did not die quietly, old profiles spoke of accolades earned yet tucked away beneath the ribbons of unwarranted dismissal. With each repost and retweet, Aurora's history blossomed like unfolding petals, embodying the wind. Pictures surfaced, detailing her past life as a skilled helicopter mechanic, evidence now gathered like dusted footprints obscured, but not silenced. Praise for her competence and unwavering resolve in the field painted fairer stories, and admiration replaced oversight long shadowed by organizational prejudice. Aurora's phone buzzed with a flurry of messages and missed calls. They were from old colleagues in aviation, each finding disbelief anchoring their surprise and shared nostalgia. Voices from the past championed her current endeavors and offered warm congratulations laced with genuine hope that she would find her way back to the skies where she belonged. An old mentor message extended an optimistic challenge, an invitation to talk shop, to walk again among rotorcraft hanging far above ground. On her last rounds aboard the yacht, where echoes of the day braced Pisces hues and mingled with watercolored reflections framing quiet determination, Aurora stood firm among sunlit silhouettes. The peace-born tranquility carried the gravity of unspoken stories interwoven between steel and sea, each revealing echoes of resolve that painted her path. In the coming days, strangers and guests sought Aurora's presence, acclaiming their admiration with nods, smiles, and small acknowledgments of her presence, calm and elegantly understated, suggestive of a grandeur that spoke volumes beyond gestures. Her place in the rhythmic movements of the marina shifted subtly, no longer simply another cog within the machinery of maritime elegance, but now the lighthouse deftly guiding those in need. The owner of the marina, a man whose authority never took lightly to shadows and time, approached her, his demeanor interwoven with gratitude-facing clarity. The promise underlying mutual respect was shared between them, and Aurora's earned space within the mariner's circle now welcomed as stated fact rather than overlooked potential. Swathes of Aurora's life reflected against the wake of her deeds, not due to idle time orbited within past unknown origins, but bound now in possibility unfettered, more than tests or trials, rooted instead in a firm choice. With that choice came the acceptance of space where dreams deferred met their match, where purpose and resilience stemmed stronger than before, encouraging her to unfurl her wings, untethered beneath the embracing sky. The whispers of opportunity circled back, weaving into Aurora a new testament. She wasn't just part of the societal weave canoeing further shores, but a navigator of renewed horizons, granting strength and story to others treading the same tides. As new faces emerged amidst realization and admiration, each encounter telegraphed the changing waves, breaking against the legacy and lore Aurora now held, cradled carefully within ocean-deep gratitude and resolute possibility. A week after the events aboard the Starlight, Aurora sat on the dock, the waning sunlight brushing her skin with soft warmth. Despite the tumult surrounding her newfound recognition, her life had settled back into the comfortable rhythm she'd woven over years. Yet, within this normalcy, phone calls and emails cascaded with opportunities she'd never imagined would be hers again. The most notable among them was an offer from a prestigious coastal rescue foundation. They were pioneering an elite helicopter safety and emergency response training program, specializing in leadership roles for skilled women in aviation. Aurora read and reread the invitation, her heart turning over with both excitement and trepidation. It promised her a return to the skies, to a world she'd once mastered, now edged with the promise of renewed purpose, tinged both thrilling and daunting. For days, the letters sat on her kitchen table, each glance escalating into an internal debate. Returning to the field meant confronting the well of emotions she'd cushioned away and facing the echoes of loss and memory that had lingered in her old world of rotorcraft. She considered the implications, the revival of dreams shadowed by the past, and pondered if she was ready to stand among the platforms that once shaped her life's arc. It was during a stroll along the marina, the familiarity of salt and wind soothing her restlessness, that Aurora found her answer. As she walked, waves lapping at the docks, she stumbled upon a family taking pictures beside a gently bobbing yacht. The children were gathered around the mother, their laughter like wind chimes in the breeze, and Aurora paused to admire the scene. The woman noticed Aurora and waved her over, walking towards Aurora with a hesitant yet open expression. Aurora recognized her, the woman whose son had clung to life amidst peril after Aurora's interventions. "I don't think my boy truly understands just how much he owes you," she said softly, her gratitude as heartfelt as before. "It wasn't just me," Aurora replied, ever modest, gesturing towards the marina and the crew she'd guided during the incident. "There were many hands in the task. But it started with you," the woman returned, her gaze unyielding, filled with sincerity. "You're the reason we're all here today. Heroes aren't always the ones in bright costumes and capes, you know. They're often the ones like you, doing their job as best they can, even when the odds aren't obvious." Her words landed with a gentle yet firm weight. Her unwavering belief in Aurora rekindled a part of her spirit she'd kept dulled, something that sparked confidence in the inner dialogue she'd held close. In that moment, beneath the arching sky and the lingering taste of seawater, Aurora embraced the tethered call of the opportunity arising at distant horizons. Returning to her home that evening, Aurora pulled out the letter once more, her decision a swelling current carrying her toward the shore of her unfinished season. Her brother's shadow nudged her, a gentle coaxing, a legacy carried forward by skill and pen, with her name underscored in promise. With a sense of finality and burgeoning excitement, Aurora accepted the Foundation's offer. Within days the arrangements unfolded. Her reacquaintance with rotors and mechanics awaited at the Foundation's headquarters, nestled between a sweep of cliffs and ocean spread beneath shifting skies. Her departure was marked with bittersweet farewells from the marina workers, many offering heartfelt speeches and warm hugs. They promised to follow Aurora's journey and cheered for the path she was stepping onto, a journey that spoke wings into the shape of destiny. On the morning she left for the program, Aurora stood one final time on the dock, her fingers tracing the smooth wood, the grains familiar and worn with years of presence. The sea breeze carried the whispers of memories and dreams, wrapping around her like an embrace. Departing, she carried the scent of salt on her skin as she did when first arriving here, though now with the added scent of new beginnings. At the Foundation's facility, Aurora was greeted with respect and admiration, not as a respected figure of storied pasts, but for the woman she carried forward, adept and determined, skilled in coaxing machinery into life and navigating rescue dreams from formation to fulfillment. She measured the span of opportunity spread open before her. The mechanics and cadets mingled among inspiration set far from cityscape-choked high-rises and clanking corridors. Day by day, she found herself becoming reacquainted with the demands and joys of her former world, no longer bound by unsung action, but inspired by burgeoning legacy. Her days brimmed with instruction, offering her insights and guidance to the next generation of women tasked to swap invisibility for command. Final images flickered like dawn surfacing the darkness, her strides echoing across the hangar floors. During her first day addressing the cadre, Aurora donned a new uniform, sapphire blue intertwined with the signature insignia of the Foundation, mirroring the sea that slicked the docks of her past haunts. She felt a twinge of nostalgia amidst its fabric, infused with hopeful promise, as familiar lines of a well-loved map were once again drawn into destiny's script. She found quiet satisfaction in the way her heart responded to the hum of machinery and the rhythmic cadence of rotors carrying aloft intertwined stories and destinies. But now, there was something else intertwined, a solid confidence, a horizon unbarred. Not just for herself, but for those she would inspire in shared resilience and courage drawn beneath the sky, at once both vast and deeply intimate. Aurora's passage along the polished floors of that great foundation served as the final testament, an arc completed beneath slowly spinning blades, engines roaring again as the past merged evenly with her future's potential, leaving wonder, wisdom, and silent yet certain strength charted across life's vast, ever-hopeful expanse.